They say hindsight is 2020. Now, I don't know who they are, but they were correct in the month of December. You'll see that if we had known, December ended up being a great time to buy. Prices were down by almost 3% from November, and one of the lowest numbers we saw all year. Now, that's not super surprising because, who would be buying in December? Those who must, and those looking for a good deal, and perhaps some of the, edges of the market in a way, like first-time home buyers, etc. So here we are with an average sale price of $659 to finish the year. Interestingly enough, we've had a 33% reduction in sales over November, but honestly, that's more of just, timing adjustment than it is something noteworthy. In terms of active listings, we've also seen a drop, which makes sense. We'd have, folks wouldn't be putting new listings on the market. Some folks that hadn't had success in 2025 might take them off and take a little bit of a break. So we're sitting with 4.3 months of standing inventory. And you know what? That's a good thing. That represents a balance mark where both buyers and sellers have, a little bit of say in what's happening. It's certainly not as exciting as when we had 1 and 2 months of staying inventory and sellers were super excited and buyers were super stressed. But this is more of a fair playing field, let's say. Moving on from this slide, what we have here is just a December over December analysis. And what you'll see is there's slightly fewer sales, 6.2% fewer sales in the month of December over last year, and active listings are up. So what does that translate into? This 4.3 months of standing inventory, this balance market I spoke of. So we were moving in that direction last year, and we've certainly kind of continued on that trend towards more of a balanced market this year. Partially a function of all the uncertainty that's out there nonetheless. Moving on. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit. What's actually happening in the marketplace? And what I would say is the center of the bell curve is still moving very well. And by the center of the bell curve, I mean kind of the average purchase price in Ottawa, which is often represented by, a townhouse or something of that nature. So look at that, 2.8 months of standing inventory on townhomes. They're still moving. Single-family homes are sitting right in line with the average, so 4.3 months of standing inventory there. Prices are, slightly down over a year ago. The apartments are really the unique story. They continue to have kind of an oversupply with almost 8 months of standing inventory. And I have hypotheses on why that is. Certainly it's become difficult to break into the market with the interest rates, et cetera. But I think there's also another story in Ottawa, and that's the story of the number of rental, kind of luxury rental new buildings coming on the market. So some young folks that might even have the ability to buy would consider some of these luxury rentals as an alternative. And certainly investors, individual investors like yourself, myself, might be more hesitant to get into the market when there's thousands and thousands of doors of kind of, commercial rentals available. It's just a theory. I don't have a lot of evidence to support it, but that is a boots on the ground impression of what's going on. Let's take a look at kind of year over year, because it's not all doom and gloom. If we look at kind of average sale price and total sales year over year, so single family homes were up 3.6% in sales, and townhouses kind of flat, apartments relatively flat. So when we look at sales volume, we've had this doom and gloom conversation all year. Look at this. We're actually up 1.3% year over year, 13,449 sales in the year 2025. What does 2026 hold? I do not know. Many of us have lots of reservations and unease about some of the kind of geopolitical stuff going on. We'll see what it brings. I'll tell you this, Ottawa tends to have a little bit of government insulation, as you've heard me call it, and we'll continue to keep you up to date on what we see and what we learn as the year unfolds. So Happy New Year, and let's see what 2026 holds for all of us.